Before we get to the video properly, I don't want to mislead you into thinking this is a competitive analysis of the Galar starters. There are far smarter people than me who could make a much better video on that subject than I ever could. False Swipe Gaming in particular. This video is more about the design of each of the Galar starters and how they rank as a trio. We'll mainly be looking at the first and final stage evolutions, because do people really care about second stage evolutions? That's not a knock, I just don't see any conversation surrounding second stage evolutions. Every starter Pokemon has an attitude to them. It's what draws a player to their starter. It's hard to explain, but just from looking at the image, you can tell how this starter acts as a partner. Bulbasaurs are responsible, Charmanders are rambunctious, and Squirtles are cheeky. Individual personalities have carried over into every starter trio in history. Sword and Shield are the best Pokemon games to date at conveying your partner's personality. It achieves this in-game with a short animated cutscene that tells you everything you need to know about your starters. From here on, we'll talk about each starter individually, and then get to the group as a whole. Starting with Grookey, their personalities are fun-loving and curious, always eager to try new things by hitting their stick on objects to see what kind of sound it makes. This is Grookey's character arc, as the bigger they get, the more music they explore, until they find their perfect acoustic in Rillaboom's drum. That's a great character arc for a starter to have, hits all the points it needs to. It makes sure to show how the Pokemon has aged over your journey. Maybe a little too well. Rillaboom has this stoicness to him, and that feels like a big departure from Grookey. While Grookey is curious, happy to tap away on whatever he can find when he uses Branch Poke, Rillaboom feels as though he's perfected his music, and lost his curiosity for song, only playing the same perfect track every time he uses drum beating. Kind of like the protagonist in Your Lie in April, Rillaboom feels like he's lost his love of music, and recites his piece like a machine, never swaying from his precise drum beats. The overgrowth on his back indicates a wild side that he just loudly bangs away on his drum for no reason, but it could also indicate obsession, like all he does is play and no longer grooms himself like monkeys would. Okay, maybe that's a bit heavy for what Pokemon actually is, but the starters just get so much more attention to detail poured into them, so I love analysing them. Let's move on to the Scorbunny line. Scorbunny's personality is rambunctious like most fire-type starters. It's fitting because they're all fired up, and that's why I think the reserved Fennekin is an underrated starter. Scorbunny is a little bit generic. A lot of the fire-type starters have lots of energy, but the Switch hardware does allow for Scorbunny to have a bit more personality, as he's so eager to fight that he leaves fire wherever he hops. But it's also the genericism that gives me a sigh of relief. It's no secret that Game Freak loves to put more effort into fire types, and the fact we've gotten a standard one with no additional typing is ironically what makes it stand out from the rest. But I'm having a bit of trouble following the character arc. We start as a Chinese zodiac with a fire theme, then we go to ninja, okay, Greninja already did this, but I'm still following, and somehow we go to soccer player? I can't see a connective thread here. Maybe it's meant to be a tracksuit, but the withdrawn personality really conveys ninja to me, but we'll get to the aloof nature later. To me, Cinderace is a refreshing break from the fire type stealing the show, and it's just unfortunate that Scorbunny is pretty much the best starter from a gameplay perspective, as most fire starters are. Finally, we get to Sobble. Now, if this isn't the cutest Pokemon since Tepig, I don't know what is. Sobble's personality is communicated so effectively that it made me not want to choose him, so I had to select Scorbunny so I wouldn't have to fight this precious thing in my first battle. But I'm so glad I got to kill it later. Take a good look at Inteleon, and then look me in the eye and say mental health support isn't important. I mean, what in the hell happened? He was cute, then angsty, and now he looks like he just logged off of 4chan. I mean, good god, I don't want that thing in my house, let alone hanging from my waist. We should talk about the Galarians as a group now, and all three of them share two themes across the evolutionary lines. The first is that all the second forms are angsty and aloof. I don't know why this is. They all start off as hugely expressive and end up in a mature place. So is it just something about Galar and by extension British teenagers that make them act like dicks? Oh wait, that's all teenagers, never mind. The second design theme is their Gigantamax forms, which all enlarge an accessory of the starters rather than the starters themselves. And I've gotta say, these are probably the worst Gigantamax forms. They didn't put a spin on the colossalness, they just made them bigger, and it wasn't a fun reference like G-Max Pikachu. Just some really uninspired designs. The Galar starters, like most starter trios, are a mixed bag. They have an A-game one like Rillaboom, a middle-of-the-road one like Cinderace, and probably the worst starter since Chikorita with Inteleon. On the other hand, the first forms are maybe the cutest trio in the entire franchise. Pokemon has certainly fluctuated in recent years in terms of games and design, but I think Galar is a fine addition to the roster 1,000 strong.